What's up, it's your boy Q, and today I'm going to be showing you how I make nylon paracord floggers. Some of the tools that I'm going to be using is the torch. Sometimes I use a lighter, scissors, pipe cutting tool, mandrel spike, and a lacing needle. Some of the materials, I use PVC as the handle, and binding material, I use this Dacron lacing tape, athletic tape, rubber cement, and nylon, and this button, which I'm going to be using as the emblem. Let's jump right into it. I cut the PVC pipe to 5 inches, and I've already done that off camera, so that's it for this tool. Next part, I take the athletic tape and I wrap the handle. This is meant so that the paracord can grip onto the handle and not slide around while I'm plaiting it. Take the scissors, cut it. Bam. Now, the next part that I do is I measure about 18 inches. Actually, let's make that 20. And then I fold that over, so it's going to be, let's see, there's the 20-inch mark. And then I fold it over, and that's the length of the tail. It goes all the way through the handle, and I'll leave a little bit of excess so that I can cut it to length. Okay, so this is 1. Nine. Okay, so now that we have 9, what I do is I fold them in half, and I take some of this lacing tape thread and let's pass it through inside the handle, through these loops, and back out the handle, back where it came, back whence you came. All right, here we go. So there we go, and then pull it through. Okay. Next part is pulling it to length. So let's make this, because this is its twin. It's going to be its twin pair. It's going to be a pair of floggers. All right, so that's just a little bit more. That looks good. All right. Then I'm going to pull it a little bit out this way, and I like to fill this with rubber cement. Not fill, but like at least get them to stick to each other, because it adds a little bit of durability to it once it dries and it's all together. Because my earlier models, I didn't do this step, and amidst using, some of the strands pulled out, and that wasn't That was kind of embarrassing, but you know, it was my prototype. That's okay. All right, so now that that's in there, let's get it back to length. And maybe a little bit. Cool. All right. Now that that's in there, now I take my lacing thread and bind it. So this is how I like to bind. I forget the name of this this hitch, but what I do is I cross over and make an X, and then I feed this end to inside in between that X. Sometimes it's a little tricky to do, but just be patient. Telling me. All right, so now that I got that in there, let's slide this onto the paracord and then start wrapping. And then now what I like to do is it's called whipping. So you take a little length and make a loop and wrap around that loop several times until you run out of this lacing thread. Nice and tight so that they are, you know, nice and easy to work with. Okay, now that there's, and then I feed the end into that loop and then pull it through. There we go. Now, actually, that's the next step. Trim off these tails of the end. So I'm gonna do this above my trash can so they can fall directly in there. So all right. Now with it trimmed, I take my torch and melt it. I melt it really, really good. Nice and molten. And then while I'm doing this, pay attention and to not get your lacing tape and melt it apart. But I like to do a nice thick layer of molten nylon on top. And while it's still molten, I take the mandrel spike and stick it in the middle. And I'll tell you why, is because the button that I'm going to be using as its emblem has a little nub on it. Actually, that's where you put how you sew it in or fasten it to whatever article of clothing or whatever that you're putting it onto. But in this case, I'll be using this button here, and since I've made that that hole, this can fit in there and sit flush onto the handle. So now that I've melted it, give it a nice little pull and get it as close to flush as I can. And then I'll do a little melt again, and then press it using my vise. It has this flat end that I kind of use like an anvil. But let's melt that again. And smush this so that's nice and flat, and keep that whole. Okay. So now it can sit almost flush, but I'll show you how I flatten it out. But the next step after this is done, that's pretty much the main body of the flogger. Now after this I do my handle wrap. So in this one I'm going to be using a 16 plat diamond pattern. So in order to do that, you need to make 8 5-foot long strands, so that when it folds over, it will be 16 plat. All right, now we have 8 strands here. I'm gonna move this camera a little bit so that you can see better. All right, now, here we go. I'm gonna take the guts out of this one. So the strands, I left the guts in. The tails of the flogger have guts, and the handle work, I'm removing the guts. And then I can use this for something later, so I'll save that. Now I get approximately the center, because this is, I left a little leeway for it to some excess so that I can trim off instead of running out. I've definitely ran out of handle material before, and that sucks when you get all the way to the end and you realize you cut it too short. I realize I cut it too short. Ugh. Not fun. Anyway, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Now this, I start at the tip of the handle, and this is a crown start. Let's show you how to do a crown start, or square start, should I say. So I take 1, 2, and I'm crossing it each time, 3, and then I'm using my the edge of the vise to separate it and hold it. So this is 4, and this is just a basic weave pattern for now. And then, so there's 4, and then over, under, over, you know, basic weave. So, and then continue until you get to your 8th strand. All right. So this is the square start, and from here I organize and make sure they're lined up right. Now I'm going to be holding them in place with my finger, and I take the top strand on each side, whichever side, and if it goes under the previous, the next strand, then this will go under it. So we're going to be, it's basically what's it called, a flat braid right now. But let's pull this through, and then the next one, so this one goes under, so that one will go this way, and then here we go. Same thing for the other side. Take the top strand, so this one's going over, so I'm going to go over with that one. This one goes, oh, don't forget to do the other one as well. Okay. And there it is. That's the square start. All I have to do is, just like regular plaiting, which one is on top. So the one on top is pointing this direction, so that is the strand I'll be using next. So I'll be using this strand to come around, but before I do that, I'm going to preface and do the whole over, under, over, under, over, under, over, and this one will be under. So I'll take this guy from around and bring it through the ones that I just weaved through with my thumb. And now you do it with the other side. So over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Okay. Wait, hang on. 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, down. Okay, there you go. So 4. So this is all over, under, over, under. Now that I bring this around, that completes the square start. All you got to do is tighten them up, and you have a diamond plait square start. Now before I move it up to the edge, I'll do at least 2 more passes so that it can hold a little bit better. So here's the top ones going that way. So you know, down, up, 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 down. All right, because all I do is win. All right, now it's going that way. So these are the ones I'm going to be going down, up, down, up, down. Pay attention to your strands. I messed up. Okay. So that was the strand that I needed to do. Okay, so, and that happens. Just pay attention to which strand you're grabbing from the back. Just make sure it's the top strand. You don't want to get all the way to the bottom and find out one of them is crossed. That's happened before too, and that's a little frustrating. Okay, now that that's correct. All right, so now let's do this side. Down, down, up, down, up. Okay. Come around, and there it is. It feels like good enough. Now at this point I will shift this over to the other side and then shimmy the square start up so that it closes around that handle. And now a nice little tug on each one so that they're nice and snug on the edge of that handle. Make sure your vise is nice and tight on your workspace. All right, that feels good. Alrighty, here we go. Now, where were we? Back to tightening. Let's make sure that it's nice and on the handle. And then you do your basic diamond plat all the way down. So let's do it. Once I get about an inch of platting, I'll move it to the other side of the vise so that I can complete the process. Let's get it back in the vise now. Not too tight that it's gonna permanently scar your cord, but just tight enough so that I can work. Shoopa-doopa-doo, choopa-choopa-choo-poo. Now, I take that whipping method, or the tie, so basically make an X and slip the end through the X. Now I can pull that tight. at this point, at this point, let's give it a cut and then do that whipping technique again. Okay, now I fed it through the loop and I pull this through. There we go. All right, let's give it a cut, trim. That looks okay. Once I roll it, it's gonna look so much better. So let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around. What is this? Must be a circus in town. Turn the shit down on these clowns. Can I get a witness? Hey, yeah. Okay, so now that I've plaited the handle, let's take the scissors and cut off the excess. And then, like before, taking the torch and melting it. I'll use the vise as a little smoothing tool. Cool. All right. Next part. Oh, I totally forgot that I have this. This is insulation foam. I think this is 1/8 of an inch thick. Yeah, 1/8 of an inch thick, and I'll be using this as my foundation. So let's do a quick wrap and get a nice and fuzzy on where to cut. Let's put this away. And then let's peel off the backing, because this has an adhesive back. So what I did there was I pressed it up against the table so I can get it flat and round. Now, the scissors cut off the excess. That's pretty good. And now, more wrapping. X, and then stick this guy underneath the X. For the life of me, I can't remember what this tie is called at the moment. And let's get a nice length and whip it again. Make it the loop. And now wrap the loop. Yo, set a loop for me to wrap to. And trim off excess. Now I take a length of athletic tape and then I cut it in half rather rip it. And now I place it over the lace. Okay. That's on there. Done with that. Let's take this rubber cement and fill in as much as we can so that the concho button, this is a button, can stay in place. So now it's pretty flush. That's good, yeah. And while that's settling, let's establish the foundation of the Turks head knot. So here's a length of paracord. This is about 3 feet long, and this is how I like to lace or put my needle on. So I cut it so it's nice and flush, and then I give it a quick melt, and then I cut it again, this time at an angle. Give it a melt, and I use my lighter as a flat surface for it to smoothen out on. And then one more time. Still feels a little rough. I'll do it again. Okay. Yeah, that feels a lot better. All right. Now that I've got the angle, I can feed my lacing needle. And then we can begin our Turk's head. Forfeit the game before somebody else takes you out of the frame. I put your name to shame, cover up your face. You can't run the race, the pace is too fast, you just won't last. Forfeit the game, stop the talk show, product of what you're taught to know. Forfeit the game, cause tomorrow when it's all done, you reap what you sow. Yeah, quick music trivia. The version of Points of Authority and a bunch of Linkin Park songs, there were different versions before the one that you hear on the original Hybrid Theory album. And man, been a big fan. Yeah. Both of them. There we go. That's the way. I like it. That's the way. I like it. Come on, baby. Control that twist. Control that twist. Round and round and up and down we go again. Oh, baby, baby, so come on, let's twist again, like we did last summer. Yeah, let's twist again, like we did last year. Do you remember when? I don't remember the rest of the words. Yeah, let's twist again. Something, something, something. Is it a bird? No. Is it a plane? No. Is it the twist? Yeah. A shoo-ba-doo-ba-doo-wah-woo. Second thing, second, don't you tell me what you think that I could be. I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my CEO. Ooh, the master of my CEO. Ooh. I was broken from a young age, taking my soul into the masses, writing my poems to the beauty. Look at me, stick at me, shake it, be sick from heartache, from the pain. Take up a listen for the brain, in the pain, seeing the beauty in the. And here we are at 2 hours. I have successfully completed a second pair. Now, the thing left to do is maybe demonstrate a little bit. Yeah. And here we go. Hope you enjoyed.